Well, I'll make a little video here on Christmas Eve day. It's a video I've been thinking about making for a while, and then some recent events have kind of made it seem more useful or relevant. Should be off work today, actually. Tomorrow was my day off this week, and since Christmas is a holiday and I was already scheduled off work, that makes today my holiday, But I decided I'd go ahead and volunteer to work, make a little extra money, I'll still get my 8 hours of holiday pay, but then plus I'll get, whatever I work today. A lot of people kind of view that as getting paid double time. It's not technically, but, it's just you're still getting your 8 hours of holiday pay even though you worked, So then whatever work I do plus any overtime, get paid for that. So can't complain about that. Need to work sometime and make money instead of just sitting around on my ass, But it's an interesting topic about Philippines expats or expats anywhere deciding that they themselves are medical professionals, and they watch shit on YouTube. I mean, I watch some of these guys on YouTube as well. There's, if I ever do stop working and get where I can really set my own schedule about things a little better in terms of when I eat and all of that, I'll probably do a little bit more stuff like intermittent fasting and some things like that. But I watch channels by some of these people, like Dr. Berg, who's a chiropractor, I guess. And I take like vitamin D with K and, magnesium glycinate and some zinc and stuff. But I'm also on a couple of blood pressure medicines. And actually, this one guy the other day was, trying to make a snide, asshole remark to me about, oh, you don't seem like you're very healthy there, better get that cough checked out. But I always had all this sinus issues, and that one medicine I take, that lisinopril, a little bit of a dry cough is unfortunately one of the side effects of that too. It kind of dries you out a little bit, but everybody wants to get off of their medicines, which is, that's, people hate taking medicines. A lot of the medicines that we take these days that are probably way overprescribed cause a lot of side effects too, and then you're taking medication for the side effects that the other medicine caused, But a lot of expats, especially it seems, from some of the videos that I've seen through the years and everything, a lot of people will tell you, man, I moved here to the Philippines and now I'm not taking any of my medicines. My blood pressure is perfect. And some of that is true. I mean, if you get yourself in shape, you're out walking around, you lose weight, you're not eating some of the food we have here in the West where everything that's in it, unless you watch like a hawk, and check the ingredients on every single thing you eat, helps keep the weight on and makes you unhealthy. And, that's a nice goal that people have. Get back. I'd love to be back like when I was in my 20s. My blood pressure was like 110/70 all the time, no matter what I did. That would be great. But, sometimes as we get older, we end up being stuck on some medications, and it's nice to try and make those changes to our lifestyle and try and solve it by lifestyle and diet issues alone. But sometimes it just doesn't work. Even if you're doing a really good job with that other stuff, you're on medications that you really need to take. But there's so much mistrust of doctors these days and the medical industry. You see with this shooting of this CEO of the insurance company, people are just, the whole thing's such a racket, and people hate being abused by it, It's like you got all these people trying to sell you all these drugs. Every time you turn on the TV, ask your doctor about this, and ask them about that. Trying, some drug company trying to sell you more medications. And they're making billions and billions of dollars off of this shit. So why not, And the insurance companies, of course, assuming they decide that you actually need a medication, maybe they're making money off of the stuff too. Everybody's making money off of it. And people just I mean, it's a hassle to be taking drugs and things, and certainly a lot of it we can solve with lifestyle changes. But still, you need to, monitor things, and there's actually a reason why we have doctors, and there's a reason why, you know, people on a whole are living longer and stuff these days, because we do have access to all this modern medicine. And then you see it here after the election here in America, with all these people like these anti-vaxxers and stuff. So many people just think that they know more than the professionals. It's the same thing back with COVID, people can argue about vaccines and all this kind of stuff, and you can always find case studies that seem to support your side, no matter which way you want to go. And certainly with the internet rumor mill these days, even stuff that's total bullshit just instantly spreads like wildfire. And the people who want to believe it, which is what we're dealing with a lot of times, they're going to latch onto it. It's just like any other religion. People want to believe certain things. And the things that they are predisposed to believe, they look around and something comes along, that confirmation bias that seems to support what they want to believe anyways, and they latch onto it. And a lot of this stuff becomes like a religion to people. Even some of this diet stuff, like the keto diets, and, some of these people that are on this carnivore stuff, if you listen to them, man, it'll solve every single problem you ever had in life if you just start eating, nothing but meat. And if, oatmeal and things like that, that's what poor people used to eat. The fact that poor people used to eat something doesn't mean that that's not something you're supposed to eat, That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard for, not eating something. Well, that's what poor people used to eat, and rich people ate meat. There have been a lot of times in history, too, where the rich people were the ones that had all the diseases, from all that rich food and stuff that they were eating. And the poor people actually, in some ways, had a better diet, even though maybe they didn't get some of the vitamins and stuff they needed from certain things. There's something to be said for just a rational, reasonable, balanced diet. But some people, they have phenomenal results from doing something, and it becomes their religion. And especially if they're on YouTube making lots of money out of it and have millions of followers, for sure, they're going to keep promoting it. That's their job now, It's not just their lifestyle, it's their way of making money. But you see this a lot in the expat community. I've often wondered if it's just because people who are expats are just naturally tend to be a little bit more mistrustful of things, and they're just, a lot of people that move overseas and stuff, they tend to be the kind of people that, you hear them, ranting and raving about government conspiracies and the deep state and all this kind of shit. And so they may be a little bit more prone to just believe things like that, alternative kind of things anyways. Some of it, I'm sure, is you're talking about people that don't have a lot of money for drugs, don't have a lot of money to be going to the doctor all the time. Even here in America, they were probably having problems getting decent medical care. Didn't have a job with good insurance or something, and especially if they moved off before they had access to Medicare or something like that. Maybe it's just they didn't really have access to that stuff, and it's nice to think, well, I don't really need that because I'm going to eat this diet or whatever, or I'm living in the Philippines now and I have a stress-free life and I don't need all that. As some people will tell you, it was like somebody made a comment on one of my videos the other day. A lot of these guys, let's face it, they're here for the kitty, and talking about all the other things, the nonstop noise pollution and just air pollution, depending where you are sometimes, and the hassles and the corruption and the constant, lack of modern conveniences and everything. It's not necessarily the least stressful place in the world. A lot of people like to promote it that way on YouTube, of course. Look, here I am, living in this beautiful tropical island paradise, and it changed my life, and everything is wonderful now. I moved here with just my Social Security, and oh my God, it just changed my life, and things are perfect. I have a beautiful young girlfriend or wife. I'm off of all my meds, and you have to be careful of stuff like that, you know? We have a lot of that going on in our society right now, though. People that they know better than the professionals. I mean, hell, you see it with science and stuff, you know? We can argue about global warming and stuff like that, or whether or not the temperature changes that we see are caused necessarily totally by human activity. But certainly there's probably some contributing factors there. That doesn't necessarily mean that, for some of us, even if we acknowledge that it exists, that doesn't necessarily mean that we think we ought to all just, start driving electric vehicles and all kinds of pie in the sky stuff that cost our economy just trillions and trillions of dollars, and that it's some kind of existential crisis that the human race is not going to be able to adapt to a little bit warmer weather. But there's a lot of that mistrust, and especially, among fundamentalist religions and things like that, where their science book is the Bible. I was raised around that kind of stuff myself, and people who literally think that, that man was created 6,000 years ago, and that there was a big flood, and Noah built a big wooden boat and put all the animals in it and stuff like that. And that's their science education, and they think they don't want their kids being corrupted learning about anything else. So there's a lot of that in America anyways, like the anti-intellectual, as some people would call it, or anti-science kind of attitude. And I think some of that carries over with some of these expats. But who knows? A lot of it might just be they're cranky old guys who don't want to be told what to do. It's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes to have to go and talk to a doctor, like a real doctor, instead of just somebody on the internet who claims to be a doctor. I remember joking around with my doctor that I had one time. It's like in that movie, The Hangover. He's like, well, he says he's a doctor, but really he's just a dentist. And that's what he was talking about with his sister, at their family gatherings, because she's a dentist, and he's like, oh, she hates it when I say that. Well, you're not like a real doctor, But it's like these guys you see on the internet. You'll see like the one guy from Sweden or wherever, like the holistic doctor, and Dr. Berg, who was a chiropractor, but wants to tell you that everybody else in the medical industry is just trying to pump you full of drugs and doesn't actually know anything. I mean, there's certain elements of truth to both sides, but you can't just start playing doctor, and thinking that you know better than people who are medical professionals and everything's going to be great. You do have success stories. I'm sure I'll hear a few of them, but you have to have a balanced attitude about this stuff.